man. Thanks for coming to the show, J-Raz. This is big. Tribute to DeMarco Solar, man. And I know you're a busy man. I know that for a fact. I know you gave us some time, man. We really appreciate it.
Oh man, I always got time for you, brother.
I appreciate that for sure. Now, let's get right to it. And listen, what we want to know is, how did you and Derrick actually meet?
We originally met. Anybody that's familiar with the DC area, they remember when they used to have those parties at the convention center, and it was an all-white party at the convention center. I believe Wasaki was throwing it back then, and I needed an all-white outfit. And I was at the barber shop on Benning Road, and my barber said, my man got a store up the street that's in an apartment. He might got something. So we walked up the hill, up 19th Street, and I bought me a white linen outfit from Derrick, and we chopped it up first time we met, and we was just vibing and cool ever since. And that was in 2004.
That's mean. I tell you why. Because listen, you mentioned a name that a lot of people locally may know and some may not. I want to do two things. One, Wasaki. Let's do that first. Who was he?
Wasaki, rest in peace. He was I didn't know him super well. I can't say we were friends, we were associates, but he threw a lot of nice parties in the city for a while, and like big events that was just always love and no like violence, anything like that. It was just grown people acting grown and having a good time.
Yeah. Now see, me having gone to school in the inner high, see Wasaki also, he walked the walk, man. Park Road. And I mean, I know a lot about him. But I'm saying, yeah, he ended up doing that, which was fantastic. So great, strong guy. That's big. See, but your stuff is valid, man. Look, and secondly, now I had a question that's coming later too, but you sort of beat me to that here because caution, right? That store in the apartments. So, I'm from Steve Pleasant. I lived around there 27 years in Northeast, so I used to go to a store too, right? Okay. So it's funny, man. That's interesting how y'all met. So that you see, Raz, this is one I love about you, when you stand on a lot of truth. Because see, a lot of people would have probably mentioned some of our Waisaki trying to add on, but you told it just like how you met him. You see what I'm saying? Which is really nice, man. And listen, now his store over in, it's funny, that was the next question. His store over in Northeast, right, called Caution. What made him go to Maryland and change the name to DeMarco Solar?
Well, honestly, DeMarco Solar was always the vision anyway. I have a couple what we call short sets of currently that I still have from the Caution days. But if you look on the shorts, it says Caution, a DeMarco Solar company. So DeMarco Solar was always the vision, and basically, his thing was Caution was the basically the how I say like shorts and sweatsuits and things like that. And his vision was DeMarco Solar was going to be the more grown part of his line.
I got you. And tell us the DeMarco Solar. What does that actually mean? Like, what is his vision with that?
That's a funny story. It means a lot. But there used to be a rug when you first walked in the store that said, "Who is DeMarco Solar?" Because people always ask, "Who is DeMarco Solar?" And Derrick's response used to always be that DeMarco Solar is you. DeMarco Solar is the customer. I do this for the customer. So the name, Derrick has told me a couple places where the name came from. Honestly, we were friends for almost 20 years, and I still can't even say exactly because Derrick gave me about three stories. One story he initially gave me, he said, what did he say? He said DeMarco was wealth and Solar is of the earth. But there was also a young man, well, a friend of his who had a son, and his name was DeMarco. So that person, I actually met that guy, and he told me that DeMarco Solar was named after his son. So the name DeMarco Solar is really a street legend, and you might ask five people, it might get five different stories of what they think or who they think DeMarco Solar is, and I think that adds to the mystique of the brand.
It does. Wow, man. So look, the first store in Forestville, right, was very, very nice. Very nice store. I really love that store, you know. And the thing is, I always tease you about Basefa, right? But people, that's me and your little inside thing. But people don't
Right.
know that's the first time I saw you doing comedy, right? And my thing was, like, how long were you doing comedy? That's something that people that like we need to know.
Oh man, I did comedy from 1999 to about 2011.
Now I don't want to get ahead of myself because but I do. I guess I'll ask you here. And the thing is, why did you walk away from that?
I initially walked away honestly due to the standard, what I call the standard DMV frustration. You know, people promoters and other comedians who fancy themselves as promoters, you know, they unfortunately, I don't know what they're doing now because I'm not in the game anymore, but back then they wanted you to do something for nothing. I was a single father, so anytime I performed I had to get someone to watch my child. I really i really didn't feel, dare I say, appreciated in this DMV comedy game. You know, you had promoters who will reach out to you, call you, and say, "Hey, I saw you perform at this spot. You were funny as hell. Can you come headline my spot?" But I don't have much of a budget. You know, a promoter actually told me one night, "I'm gonna put you on the fly as the headliner, and I'm gonna pay you in. I could pay you in chicken. What do you say? Chicken wings and beer." You know, and honestly, when that promoter said that, I was already kind of fed up anyway with the game. So that was it for me. I was just like, okay, well, you know what? I'm over this, and I know I could have went further because I personally feel I had talent in the game, but you know, you get the feeling when it's time for you to walk away from something. At that point, I had been in five major movies. I had performed in Canada. I had been on tour. I had performed in LA, several states across the country. Had a good time, met some great people who are like high up in the movie game now, and I was good with that. You know, God led me to comedy, and God let me know when it was time for me to walk away and do something else. So I have no regrets regarding starting or stopping doing comedy.
I got you. Now check this out. Very interesting, man. Because see, my research on you has come from over time, though. What I'm saying is that, see, man, I figured that right from watching you over the years. I said, you know, because I got a question here. I don't want to get away from the question I was going to ask you about that. Matter of fact, I'm going to do this. I'm going to ask you these questions, not so much in order anymore. So,
Okay.
J-Raz, you know, you're a very interesting man. Okay, and for real. And so, tell us about. Here's the thing, man. Your spiritual side seems to be very, very strong. And like you said about leaving comedy, see, that's what I'm saying. Like, I can tell that that's really what you're driven by, right?
Right.
And, so to tell us some of the things you do, like on a daily basis in service work and stuff like that.
Oh man. Anybody that knows me know I love my community. Right now, I did 14 years working in DC mental health, working in the community. I wasn't in the office, I was in the community. I met all my clients where they were, whether they were in jail, whether they were in the psych hospital, whether they were that homeless person that you may step over as you go get your latte in the morning. I would go sit on the curb with them and check on them, make sure they good, make sure they had what they needed as far as their medications, help them develop resources. And it was because I cared. I cared about my fellow man, no matter where he was. I got friends who are millionaires. And I got friends who owe $1 million. But it's all about people, and I firmly personally believe that as human beings, we're here to help one another out. So I'm real big in the community. I own my own nonprofit. I actually started a for-profit side of my nonprofit to help men in the community earn a decent wage. Put them to work for the week, for the weekend, or what have you, and pay them because what I believe is, and I don't want to get off topic, but what I believe is that when you help the man in the family out, you automatically help the family out because that man feels better about himself, and he more likely is going to go do more for his family. My nonprofit is called Cementing Foundations, with an emphasis on the MEN in the word cementing, because we're looking to cement these foundations, but also we're looking to help these men be great. My for-profit side is called Village Mentality, because it takes a village. We all know it takes a village. It takes a village, but I go into it with a village mentality and getting these contracts, but also with an emphasis on the MEN in the word mentality. So my day job, I got a government job. I got a government job. I work in the courts, and I work there honestly because I took that job because, again, I want to help my I'm gonna say my brothers, because I'm not gonna, the politically correct way is to say I want to help all men out, but I want to help my brothers out. And I've been through the court system. So now I'm on the other side. And when the brothers come in and they're going through things, a lot of times at my job, they'll say, well, he's messing up, we gotta step him back, or we gotta, give him this penalty. But I'm the person that I'll say, well, you're falling off. What's going on in your life? This hasn't been your pattern. Let's talk about, let's try to get you back on track. You understand what I'm saying?
Going out to some corner hunters, sweet peaches and friends.
Hey man, hey, look, I love it, man. Right? I figured that about you, man. I'm trying to tell you, I could just feel it. My thing is, look, my other question. I'm down to my other questions now. That's that. The questions were coming. It seemed like you and Derrick had a very high spiritual thing, and God was very important, man. And so hearing it from you, because he was doing lives about things, I'm gonna have to go ahead and get into my Father's Day cookout with you, man. I mean, first of all, a lot of men don't have that. There's reasons for it, but some guys have a negative attitude toward their own fathers about certain things. I want you to
Right.
develop that, and then after you develop that, I'm going to ask you to talk about your walk. You mentioned the system, because that's very important for the youth that are going to see this, to know that you're not some. See, man, sometimes some of the best guys, like you mentioned, like even how Wasaki turned around. You guys have been there, but because of the way the version people meeting now, oh, he old man, he a square. You see, but if they go look at them, if they go look at your old pictures, they know, okay, this dude, he been there.
Yeah.
But they see today, the way you carry. That's why I want you to use this time to let people know, man, who the army is still with DeMarco Solar, and that is still going to be around. Let us know your story, man.
Right, man. I mean, I come across now, and I hope I do honestly, because I am a real humble dude. But man, like you said earlier, you from Sea Pleasant, man. I was born and raised in Lando. I was, the dudes in the city called me the Maryland dude, and I lived on 202. I lived on Bright Sea Road, cross street from Lando Mall, Village in the Woods back in the day, before I even moved into the city. So I've seen a lot.
Yeah,
I've seen a lot, lost a lot of people in my life. And through God's grace, I'm still here today, to where I can go back and look back and see my brothers where they need assistance, And with me and Derrick, again, after that first meeting, I've always been somebody to support good people. And after meeting Derrick that one day, I was a customer. I looked at myself as a customer, but a supportive customer. And I supported him. I've always bought something from him, like, every week. And it's a conversation that I really haven't told a lot of people, but not a year after I was a customer of Derrick's, I stopped coming to the store for probably about 5 or 6 months. And then because I was going through some things in my personal life, so I wasn't really out. I wasn't, I was just kind of going to work, come home, whatever, because I was dealing with some things at home. And so when I went back to the store, I saw Derrick, and he asked me. He said, "Hey, Raz," he said, "where you been? I ain't seen you." And I said, "Man, I just kind of been going through some things. I ain't really been shopping lately." And he looked me dead in my eye, and he said to me, he said, "Well, with us," he said, "it's not always about shopping." He said, "If you feel you just want to come through and just let it out, I'm here." And that to me like next leveled our relationship because again, we chopped it up when we were there. He was actually my first sponsor, my first real sponsor when I was doing comedy. If I had a show out of town, he would make sure I came up because he said, "I want you to take my brand to other states so people can see it." So I would come to the store, get clothes to wear, what have you. But when he told me that, I knew that our bond was actually, more than just customer and shopkeep. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I totally do. That was so him though. That
Yeah,
was so him. See, if
yeah,
people know him, man, they, you got people who probably judge him and it's from jealousy. But I'm saying that was so him, man. I know for a fact. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's big.
yeah.
So I think I want to say is this: did you have a voice in the designs for some of the stuff in the stores as things develop, as you guys got together on things? Any voice on creations at all?
On designs?
Yeah,
No,
not
no.
really.
I didn't need to because that was dirt. That was all dirt. I just when he ordered, got new designs, new product, and all that, I felt that my job was to push it to the streets. He was a creative genius when it came to clothes. I mean, what I have on. Let me just get it in the camera.
Yeah, yeah.
This head. So and this. Let me get it on camera. Boom. You know, so I mean, he didn't need any help when it came to the creative aspects of the clothes. That man, he just had vision. I can guarantee you, probably every time you came in the store looked different because he would just change it around. That's just the way his mind worked. He would put the store in one place and then say, okay, well, you know what? Move that couch, move this chair, move that TV. That's just how he was. His mind was always being creative. So that was all.
That's it. I ain't gonna say it took time because, but it's like it seemed like over a period of years, the brand became really powerful. I mean, look, I'm interviewing some cats from Ovation and City Groove for the same show. Here's the thing: they wearing. I mean, they out in Alexandria, all them wearing the
Right.
brand. I'm saying like the brand just blew. I don't know what y'all did in Maryland, man, but it went to a whole nother level. Can you explain that for us?
Yeah, there used to be a time where, a long time ago, if I saw somebody in DeMarco's with DeMarco Solar clothes on, I knew that I knew him because I knew that person because DeMarco Solar, it was a close knit brand, but Dirk, he just kept pushing it, kept pushing it. Whether we would go to parties, go out of town, or wherever we would go, and he just pushed his brand. And the designs were always ahead of. I felt they were ahead of what other people were doing. So that attracted more customers. So, like you said, you got the guys they out in Virginia wearing it, and it was a point where I started seeing people, and I'm just like, "Oh, he got on DeMarco Solar," and I would look and say, "Well, I don't know him," And then it started being, "Oh, I was honestly somewhere just yesterday, and this guy walked past me, and he had on this black on black DeMarco Solar sweatshirt. We didn't know each other, we didn't speak, but I saw the brand and I kind of smiled because I was just like, he's still touching people. So he was just about marketing. we would go to clubs, and we would get like the VIP section. And he told me that, getting the VIP section and getting the bottles, he said, J-Raz, he said, that's not about, for me, that's not about showing off. That's about marketing. That's another way of marketing, because you're getting people attention. And then everybody in the section is wearing DeMarco Solar. So then the people who see us, they're like, okay, what's this DeMarco Solar? Then they want to come by the store, then they become customers.
Right, right. Wow, man. Just hearing your descriptions, man. He was definitely a visionary for real.
Yeah, he was always thinking.
For real, man. And look, I'm going jostling for between you and him. So like the Father's Day, tell us about the annual cookout. You've been doing that for a minute, man.
Yeah, I started doing the Father's Day cookout in Now, even father cook. I started in 1998. I was living again single father, and I was living over in Savannah Street, Southeast at the time, Shipley Park. And one Father's Day, I was just I called my guys, my friends at the time, and I just say, hey, what do you got? What are y'all doing for Father's Day? And they all were like, I ain't doing nothing. I'm just gonna chill, probably, sit in the house, and I was just like, nah, we got to do something, because not only was I a single father, but my men at the time, they had kids as well and they were in their kids' lives. So I felt we needed to be celebrated. So I said, nah, we got to do something. So I threw a cookout, and we went to Anacostia Park. I fired up the grill. It was five of us, one of those little round Weber grills, and we had a little boom box, because again, it's 1998, so we had a little boom box with batteries in it. That was our music, and we just cooked, threw some food on the grill. It was all meats, no sides. Only sides we had were chips. But we had a good time, and we just vibed out for the day. And then so the following year came around, and they reached out to me and said, hey man, we had a good time. You should do that again. That was in 99. So I threw my second one, and here we are in 2022, and I'm still doing it every year on Father's Day. And we went from the five of us, from me doing it, it was five of us, to now we usually do between 250 and 300 people every year, free for the community. It's always been free. And it's just to celebrate fathers, celebrate fatherhood. And I even got friends who aren't fathers, but they're the father figures in people's lives. So, celebrating them too, you know.
Man,
But that's what it's about.
it is so nice, man. I tell you, I recall. I don't know how. I wasn't living there, so I couldn't stay all the way with it. But man, how did you not get elected to? I mean, what is going on? How did you not win that, man? I mean, you one of the most authentic men, man, I've seen in a long time. How is that? Because you ran for some type of for was it council or something?
County Council, Prince George's County Council, District 9. And you said, how did I not get elected?
Yeah.
Well, Jay-Z said it best years ago. Politics as usual. You know, people vote for people who they voted for. So a lot of times we don't take we, and I say we as citizens, we don't take the time to look into our candidates, and that was my message while I was running. Every time we did a candidate forum, I always told the people who were in attendance, you don't have to vote for me, but I implore you to because it was 7 people running for one position, county council, District 9. And so I told them, I said, I implore you to Google everyone up here and see what they've done for the community. See what they've done to affect the lives of others in the community. I know I had that. So you can Google me all day. Excuse me. But the other people, they were politicians too. When I say, I'm not gonna say all of them, because some of them were newbies like myself. But the main ones, they were like politicians because they've been politicians. You understand what I'm saying? So, people voted for me. Out of the 7, I came in 3rd place out of the 7, which basically makes me the second loser. But I had a good time, and I really wanted to. I said when I first started running that even if I don't win, I want to get my message across. I
Mhm.
want to bring things to light for the community. School safety and more resources for our more career oriented resources. We don't need more job fairs. We need more career training.
Right.
And so those were parts of my message as I ran my campaign.
I guess that my question got answered. That's probably why you're not in there.
Yeah, pretty
I,
much. I'm not a politician. I threw my name in the ballot because I was fed up with my county, and I was really gonna leave my county. But my next thought after I said I'm gonna leave, my next thought was no, that's not how you solve a problem. You don't leave and leave everyone else to deal with the problem. You put yourself in a position to solve the problem.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
I follow you. I follow you, man. I'm gonna ask you this: the brand's future with Derrick gone. I know a lot of people that see this want to know. Okay, so are we gonna still be able to have this brand? What's the plans for it? Only you can really answer that for people.
I don't know, bro. Um, Honestly, I loved and pushed and fought for DeMarco Solar because I love D. My thing was D. DeMarco Solar was a product of D, and I worked hard. Like a lot of people don't know the things I did. I worked hard for DeMarco Solar because I believed in D, and I wanted D to reach his goals, and we talked about that often. And unfortunately, he's gone now. So I'm not I'm not a part of what's going on with DeMarco Solar right now. There are things going on from what I've seen on social media. I'm not gonna comment on my feeling towards those things, but again, my thing was Dirk. Dirk was my guy. And so that I love the brand, but I can't speak on the future because I don't know.
Yeah, see that. I see you were the guy to come to though, because I'm gonna tell you something, man. Anybody on the outside looking in, if they saw DeMar, I'm gonna tell you seriously, the only other person other than him that rep this brand as strong was you. I never thought one time when unfortunately when he went back to God, I said, man, I know who to go to get a good tribute for him. Because man, I mean, if you saw him somewhere, J-Raz somewhere, ain't no question about it. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the things that we hope. But you know how it is. Your answer sort of is saying, the flame of it isn't here. So we,
Right.
like I said, we don't know. It's
Yeah.
totally. And dig this: if it was one thing, right, that you want people to remember about him, since you have the close-up, real contact that none of us have, what is you probably say was the most special thing about him?
I would have to say that Derek's main goal wasn't to sell clothes. His main goal was to connect people. He was a human networker. I can show you my phone right now, and I have more than 75 people in my phone that it says their name dash DeMarco Solar because that's where I know them from. And I would be in the store. I would be in the store and he would meet somebody and they would say, "Hey, take my number." And he would look at me and say, "J-Raz, put this number in your phone." And I used to always laugh. I'm like, "Why you always have me put it in my phone? Why don't you put it in your phone?" But I'm like, "Okay, I'll put it in my phone." And it's crazy because he's gone now, but I still have all these people in my phone that I met through him, that he met, through the store, and people in my life who I've met through him, who have met each other through him. And that was his thing. His thing was, it's not about the clothes, it's about the people. If he wanted to, honestly, if he wanted to just focus on clothes, he would have been a millionaire. With his personality and with his spirit and just how he thought, he would have been a millionaire. But it was just I mean, of course he wanted to sell clothes. That was his thing. That's what he did. But it was more about the relationships and connecting people with, basically what I did in the community. I did resource development, as far as the community. He did the same thing. People who became resources to one another, and that's one of the things that made him great, that made him a great person.